Welcome to Bleachers the Speakers. I'm your host, and I got my dog with me, man. You can introduce yourself.
Foster Child, back with another episode.
We made it to week 2, bro.
You made it.
Was there any doubt that we make it this far?
Nah. We in
Nah,
there.
we good for at least 2 episodes, bro.
Two.
Hey, we I want to jump right into this Lions stuff, man. We talking Detroit Lions, of course. But there's been a bit of a curveball to the show, Foster. Like yesterday was what I feel was a big signing yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So what happened was Detroit Lions, and he was in town before, but nothing ever. I think it was a couple weeks ago, right? Where he actually Teddy Bridgewater was here.
Yeah, it was recently. I don't know if it was last week, but it was recently.
Well, usually when someone comes in this late, especially a quarterback, and they come into the offseason this late to a facility and they visit, they sign like the next day because you don't have no time to waste. Like people are in fall camp. Quarterbacks need to learn that they need to learn that playbook. They need to get acclimated. You know what I'm saying? So nothing ever came of it when he was here. But then yesterday we got the news that Teddy Bridgewater has signed to the Detroit Lions on a 1-year contract.
Teddy Two Gloves.
And for me, that's huge. Like, I don't expect him to unseat Goff. Goff is our starter. But last year I didn't know who the backup was.
Yeah.
And you can't expect Goff to take every snap this year. 2 years in a row?
You can't. I mean, you just can't assume. I'll say you can't assume that that's going to be the case.
I think that's an unfair expectation, bro.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks. They're the most susceptible to injury. You know what I'm saying? Blindside and late hits or whatever. And to take every snap in a season is great, but I didn't know who the backup was. So now you have Teddy Bridgewater, and you have a better backup than you've had in the past few years.
They say since Sean Hill, and that goes back like 10 years, I think.
Whew. Oh, man. I mean, I did not know who the second string quarterback was for the Lions last year. Had no clue. Luckily, he wasn't needed.
Right. You didn't have to know. He was there, but you didn't have to know.
So, what do you think about Teddy, man?
I mean, he this is somebody that we put our offer out there, I think around the draft. So we talking about back in April, I believe. We extended an offer, and he obviously weighed his options and wanted to see where things fell. But the most exciting part is that he played when Dan Campbell was coaching in New Orleans. So they've already developed a rapport, and Dan Campbell was very familiar with Teddy Bridgewater. So as I've been saying previously, we're covering every base. We got a whole bunch of running back, a whole bunch of receivers. We are covering any base that ever needed to be covered. And the one position that was still out there that we were kind of like, we expect to have Goff for the year, but I think now we are in a position to where if he has, even if it's just a couple plays, he takes a tough hit and has to miss a couple plays. We got a guy in there that has started before. He's familiar with Dan Campbell. I don't know how familiar he is with the offense, but he's familiar with Dan Campbell. And I feel like Dan Campbell has belief that if need be, he can come in there and can continue to give us an opportunity to win the ball game, even if Goff isn't in there.
Yeah, we just want a fighting chance if you lose your starter quarterback. A fighting chance if you can get if your second stringer can give you a fighting chance instead of just, we're going to lose this game, we don't have our back. we need someone that can actually step up if there's an injury. But we don't want to talk too much about injuries or this, that, and the other. We're gonna knock on wood on all that, you know what I'm saying? But it was a good pickup. And like whenever they do something good, we gotta give them a Lions roar. Yeah, we gotta give them a Lions roar for that, man. We gotta give them a Lions roar for that. But we got a dope show ahead of us. What me and Foster came up with was like, we were thinking, what are the vital position groups that would dictate a successful season, right? And looking at what happened last year, we took a look at 3 position groups, which is basically, let's just keep it a buck. The defense, right?
Oh yeah.
The defense last year was a lot less than desirable at times. It got better as the season, but those first few games, when we went 1-6, there were a lot of points given up, right?
Absolutely.
Defense got a little bit better after the first 7 games, but I think there were some things and some positions and some things that needed to be addressed. So what we did was we took the defensive line. We're going to take a look at the defensive line, the linebackers, and the D-backs, right? Because we said position groups. Let's just say defense. We're going to talk about the defense. So, Foster, I'm going to tell you what we looked at the defensive line to start off with. You cool with that?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, there was one person that was released from the team, and that was the defensive lineman. That was Michael Brockers.
Okay.
And I think what was it? What was the cap hit that they say? Was it 10 million?
I think you said I think 10 million is what we said.
I think it was more. I think it was a cap move space. I mean a cap space move, but at the same time, I don't remember too many plays that he was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Since his signing, I just don't remember him making a difference on the defense.
Right.
So they released him, and there's another defensive line, Austin Bryant, that we lost, and I think he signed somewhere else. I don't know. I know he wasn't waived, cut, or released. He signed somewhere else. You lose 2 defensive linemen, and you add Broderick Martin from the draft. That's the big fella, the D tackle, so to speak, from the Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Foster. What do you think about the defensive line as compared to last year? Now, it's kind of crazy because there's not much change.
Right.
So I'm putting you on the spot. What do you think we got here?
So I think that, well, for one, we have James Houston only played, what did he play? 8 games last year? I think he was on a practice squad. I don't even think he made the game. I don't think he made the team out of camp. I think he was on the practice squad. So I think he's one of the biggest factors to watch going into next year. Is he almost caught Hutchinson for sacks. He had like 8 sacks in 7 games, something crazy like that. And so it's going to be interesting to see now that I feel like people weren't in tune with him yet. It'll be interesting to see how he adjusts now that the world is on alert about James Houston. Because that's gonna be major to see if he has that sophomore slump and if he can keep it moving. Because Aiden Hutchinson was the most double defensive lineman last year in the entire NFL.
That's crazy.
If James Houston can make an impact, it's gonna open it up. It's gonna open things up for Hutch to be able to not be double teamed as much. And he was the runner up for defensive player, rookie defensive player of the year. So I feel like the opportunity for him to expand on his game only goes up. if James Houston proves to continue his path. Outside of that, we brought back Kaminsky. We brought back I think Kaminsky's the only one that we had to actually re-sign. And then Romeo Aquara, I think he took a pay cut in order to stick around. So
Right.
I feel like I feel like we have the opportunity to be deep. It's just a matter of who's gonna step up.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't think defensive line was the problem last year in the defense. I think it could have been better, but it wasn't a big problem. So you don't see too much movement with the personnel. Like I said, we lost two people that probably hardly played or made a big significant stamp last year, and we add a rookie from the draft. So there's not too much moving around there on the defensive line. I personally thought that the defense, if you looked at the defense, the defensive line was the strength of of that of the defense last year.
Yeah, definitely.
So defensive line. Now we're going to move to linebackers, right?
Yeah.
So with the linebackers, we had departures of Chris Board and Josh Woods. Now, no knock to those guys. I do not remember them playing. Okay, so I felt like the linebacker core was decent, but we needed better play from the linebacking core than we got last year. We need better play. There's just no way this team can be successful on a defensive standpoint if the linebacker play doesn't step up or do better. So, with that being said, we lose those two, and we add Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and we draft Jack Campbell.
Yep.
So I'm gonna put you on blast again, Foster.
What's up?
What do you think about the linebacking core now?
I think that going and getting Jack Campbell, that was one of the biggest. I think that was one of the biggest voids that we had to fill, especially after free agency. After free agency, we kind of shored up our secondary quite a bit through free agency.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get to that. But I think it was essential for us to go out and get a linebacker early on. I know I've been watching. It looks like Derek Barnes is having a good camp because Derek Barnes was here last year, despite the fact that our linebackers struggled. Derek Barnes was around last year, so I think he's making it a point to take some steps forward this year as well. Anzalone is kind of our mainstay. We re-signed him, brought him back. He was here last year. He played with Dan Campbell in New Orleans as well. So I'm excited to see where we're at after that. As far as Maybin, I think Maybin's more of a special teams guy. I want to say that So I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make. And then of course we got can't forget about Rodriguez. I feel like Rodriguez has a ceiling to him. You know, he was like a 6th round pick. I think he was like a 5th, 6th round pick. I think there is a ceiling to what he can provide for us. But he's now, not a vet, but he was here last year. He was around. He is 1 year, 1 full year of experience that, he can bring to the team as well. So I'm not I can't say I'm sold on the linebackers yet. We just gonna have to see. But I do remember one person that I forgot to mention as far as the defensive line, Josh Pascal. Josh Pascal was a 2nd round draft pick, I believe, last year. He was hurt for the first half of the year. He was like Jamison Williams, where he missed a lot of the early parts of the year. But he's now had a full year to because I saw one of his interviews and he said that he's so much more comfortable coming into this year having been on the field for a half a year and just it's a wonder what a year a year makes when you've actually got a chance to experience things, learn the playbook, and he's 100% healthy this year. He's going into the year healthy, so he can play a full preseason as well, because he didn't play any preseason last year. So he's going to be a pivotal part to our defensive line too, because he plays inside and out.
Yeah. So, I forgot about Josh, and I did read about, I'd been paying attention to him, but I just didn't have it in my notes. But yes, he's a part of the linebacking core. And when we're done with all this, we'll talk about the depth chart, the defensive depth chart, and then they'll give you a even more perspective on the personnel as well. So I feel the linebacking core, if the difference maker for me is what Barnes can do. Now I'm hearing great things out of camp, and when he was drafted, I expected big things out of him. He's out of Purdue. He had a motor, and his rookie season he didn't live up to it, and last year he didn't live up to it. So I'm hearing good things though, and I think it starts with the overall improvement of Barnes and the overall improvement of Martinez. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Rodriguez.
I said Martinez. Oh my God. Rodriguez. Was he 5th or 6th round? Was he that low in the?
It was later. It was after. I know it was after Kirby Joseph. I want to say it was like 5th round.
Now, do you remember? Did you watch Hard Knocks last year?
I did not catch much of that, which is crazy.
Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you. Like in one of the episodes, the linebacking coach was watching him, right? And he was like, "Look, this is a rookie, and he's doing everything right. He's the best looking linebacker we got." And they were showing the film on him, and they just knew, like, he's doing everything right. Look at him. So I knew he was going to be good. And he made some plays early. I think he kind of fizzled out at near the end of the year. But
I think he kind of got hurt too. I want to say his elbow was wrapped up or something. Yeah.
So, that linebacking core is very vital. I think they'll be better this year. I think the addition of Jack Campbell makes them stronger. I think the emergence of Barnes can make them better. So we'll see. Now this next position group, which is the DBs, we got to do better, fellas. I'm sorry. This is the group that really let me down last year. Like it was torture. They were giving up. It was bad. It was bad. So the departures from the D-backs are Deshaun Elliott, Mike Hughes. I like Mike Hughes. I'm sorry. I wish, for depth purposes, we could have kept Hughes.
We're deep though. We are.
Well, at the time we weren't deep, but we're the D back position is deep now. So, and we, I can't pronounce his name. Amani.
Oh, a warrior.
So you say it better. Yeah, you say it better. Say it again.
A warrior, I believe.
A warrior.
Yeah.
I thought the year before last, he led the team in interceptions, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be a beast next year, right?
Right.
Oh,
Penn State, I think. You went to Penn State?
Yeah, he went to Penn State. But, I should have known because him and Jabuda, they were touchy-feely, grabby. And I see a corner that's always holding and grabbing, and it makes me think that they don't have the confidence to run with wide receivers or keep up with them. So
Right.
They were too hands, they was too handsy.
Yes.
And they got called for a lot of penalties, especially Aurarie. Oh, how you say his name, man?
A warrior, I believe. But
Aurarie was getting
yeah,
called for penalties left and right. And when they threw a flag on him, I said, "Yep, I believe it." I didn't even have to see the replay. Yep, you called it on him. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, he
he
did it.
did that. Whatever they
He did.
said, he did it.
Yeah, they said he did it. He did it. But
Yeah.
then you lose those three, and I'm thinking with those losses, I'm not upset. I want to. I did like Hughes, but then the additions, right? The additions made you forget who you lost, right?
Oh yeah.
So uh you gained Mac McCain, who I do not have any idea who that is. You signed Cameron Sutton from the Pittsburgh Steelers. You signed Manuel Mosley from the 49ers, and currently he's on the physically unable to perform list. And you got the defensive back CJ Gardner, which I would have never thought we'd have got.
Right.
So looking at it with what you lost and you gained, and I'm just saying you gained Sutton and Gardner, CJ Gardner Johnson, it's a win as far as takeaways and losses of personnel. Just those two. No knock, not trying to downgrade the other acquisitions, but just those two make the defensive backfield that much better. What do you think, Foss?
So the one there's see Hughes, okay, he didn't really stick out to me too much, but I will say that I was the one loss that I did kind of like was Deshaun Elliott. Elliott wasn't someone that covered well, but
You
he
like the loss?
no. What I'm saying is that I no, I'm what I well, I said that wrong. What I meant to say was I like Deshaun Elliott. Although we
Okay.
lost him, he was somebody that I liked because he was a heavy hitter. I feel like he couldn't cover too well, but I feel like he used to lay the wood. Um, but as far as who we gained, I think Cam Sutton is definitely by far our best cover corner. Well, as of our most healthy cover corner. Um,
Mhm.
CJ Gardner Johnson, I think he is probably I feel like he's the heart and soul of our defense thus far. So that's obviously a big deal. And then we just gonna have to wait and see about Mosley. I don't know
Yeah.
because I think he had to have like this was a surgery that wasn't necessarily expected, or I feel like that was something that wasn't necessarily a part of the plans. But in the meantime, we got guys like Brian Branch, who is having a crazy camp. Like that's just all he's the most reoccurring theme that I've heard throughout camp thus far. Um, Jerry Jacobs right now is the other side of the field. That's our other corner, starting corner until Mosley comes back. And I feel like he's got I follow him on Twitter, and he's got a crazy chip on his shoulder. He feels that people are sleeping on him.
They
Because when
are.
Awarie and Okuda were struggling, Jerry Jacobs was our mainstay at corner at the
Yeah.
at that this current moment. But one guy, this guy is undrafted out of I don't even know what college he went to, but his name is Starling Thomas. I keep hearing his name.
I keep his
He
name as well.
he's gonna be one of those guys that's gonna get tons of playing time during the preseason because they don't have anything to lose with him. Like he wasn't drafted, so they don't have a lot of they don't have they don't have to protect him, from, because he may or may not make the team. He might make practice squad, but I continue to hear his name. And then one other guy, his last name is Gilmore. His
Yeah,
brother
they talked about
plays
him.
for the Bills. I don't know if that's Stefan or Steph, whatever the case may be, but he's another name that I keep hearing. And so it's going to be real. I mean, I think this is the deepest defensive backfield that we've had in a very long time, and I feel like this is a definite strength. As far as between your defensive line, your linebackers, and your defensive backs, I feel like this is the one defensive group that we are stacked. And I didn't even mention Iffy out of Syracuse. He actually played with my brother at Syracuse.
He's
another.
They got him at safety.
Yes, and he is a former corner, but he moved to safety. We're stacked. Tracy Walker. I didn't mention Tracy Walker is coming back from is coming back from an injury last year. So we are loaded in the defensive backfield.
Well, what we can do is we can talk about the depth chart in its entirety.
Okay.
And for those that are watching, we'll check it. You'll be able to see it. You ain't got to take our word for it. And for our audio listeners, we'll just tell you what we see now. We're going to focus on the defense, right?
Yes.
So as you look across the line, you have Charles Harris at defensive end, Aleem McNeil at your D tackle, Isaiah Bugs at your other D tackle, Aiden Hutchinson at your D end. They have Derek Barnes at starting linebacker, and you got Alex Anzalone. I can't pronounce his name.
Anzalone
at the other linebacker, and you got Cam Sutton at the corner, which is not surprising, and you have Jerry Jacobs, the guy you talked about, at the other corner. At nickel, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. At safety, Tracy Walker and Kirby Joseph. Now, backing those positions up, you got at one end John Kaminsky. You go ahead and say that name, Foster.
Levi Anzarike. Anzarike.
Okay. And then you have at the other D tackle, Broderick Martin, the rookie. You have Josh Pascal, who we talked about. Jack Campbell at the linebacker. Malcolm Rodriguez. I didn't call him Martinez this time. Helps I can read it.
You're reading it. It hit different when you can read it.
It hit different. A Chase Lucas at corner, and you have Starling Thomas, the backup corner.
There it is.
Brian Branch as your nickel. Second string, you got Iffy at your second string. We're just going to call him Iffy. Definitely. And you have Savion Smith at the other safety. Third string. Now, these are some interesting names on third string because it just shows the depth. You have Julian, say his last name.
Aquara.
You have that person. You have Christian Covington at D tackle. You have Benito Jones at D tackle. You have James Houston, third string on the depth chart. Anthony Pittman at linebacker. Jalen Reeves-Maben. Stephen Gilmore at corner. Khalil Dorsey at the other corner. Will Harris. We're familiar with Will Harris. And he's on the third string. Brady Breeze, the other safety, and Brandon Joseph. And I think the way they have this is you have Corey Durden, Chris Smith, Romeo, Julian's brother. They're not in the depth chart. You have Trevor Navas, T. Hayes, and I don't know why Emmanuel Mosley is. Yeah, well,
because he's hurt.
Because he's hurt.
Yeah.
So
he's moving up once he's healthy.
if looking at that depth chart, I'm not mad at the roster at all.
Like, a lot of these guys getting cut, by the way, because They gotta trim it down, by the way, to what, 50 or something like that.
It's a 53-man roster at the end of the day
Yeah,
because they do a couple cuts. I think they do another cut after the first week of the season or so, I believe. But
right.
yeah, but this looking at this on paper, I am not mad at the depth chart.
Right.
Hopefully you like to see a couple of these people. Like I was really thinking Jack Campbell would be listed as a starter, but that just means Derek Barnes stepped it up.
Yeah.
And looking at this, they're running what 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers,
Yeah.
3 corners. So that's why you
And
only
I
see
and,
2
and I
linemen.
think that interchanges. I would assume, depending
Depending
on
upon the
what the
offense
offense
they're
is running.
facing,
Yeah.
yeah. Depending on
Jack
but this
Campbell
is
is
their
definitely the third ish linebacker out of that, you know.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's the defense in a nutshell. Um, where I myself am I don't want to say impressed, but I'm not mad at what we have as far as the defense. I think we've upgraded. Um, we've upgraded. I think we should be a lot better than what we were last year, defensively as a unit. And a lot of it has to do with the linebacking core and the cornerback additions. What do you think, Foss, overall?
Yeah, on paper, obviously until we get on the field and put it all together, there's no telling. But from what I can see, I think we're definitely stronger on all fronts. We didn't make, like you said, we didn't make a lot of additions and on the defensive line. So with everybody being more healthy than last year, because I feel like Charles Harris, who was our opposite of Hutch, is the starting defensive end. I feel like he was hurt last year, maybe,
Yeah,
or he had a down year, because the year before Harris had his contract year, and he had like 8-9 sacks or something like that.
yeah.
So yeah, we right now everybody's healthy. Josh Pascal's healthy. Broderick Martin's coming in. We gotta I feel like we didn't make a lot of improvements, but from within we're a stronger cast because we're healthier. So yeah, I think the linebackers is really, that's really the group that I want to see improve and get better, because we got thrashed, as far as rushing wise last year, and I feel like that fell back on our linebacking core. So
You know what, Foster? This is totally off subject, but we have to give 5 to 10 seconds for a commercial break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Had to do that. We do have a couple of sponsors. We kind of went over time, but
gotta pay the
shout out to the
bills.
sponsors. Got to pay the bills, man. We're not used to that. You know what I'm saying? But we talk defense. We have to show the offense some love. So, with that being said, we have our player of the week, and it's an offensive player. And we're going to feature this guy. And Foster, I hope you've done your homework on this guy. Tell us about this man, Sam Laporta, out of Iowa, tight end.
Yeah, so the highlighted player this week is Sam Laporta. He's a tight end out of Iowa. Iowa is a bit of a tight end U. They've had guys such as Hawkinson, as well as George Kittle come out of Iowa. So they're known for developing great tight ends. But just to give you guys some background on Sam Laporta, he was a 3-star recruit. And he played DB wide receiver and tight end in high school. So he has that background of athleticism. He ran a 4.52 40-yard dash. So he grades well athletically. I'm going to get into
He
some of
doesn't
his.
run a 4.52 now though. They bulked him up a little bit, but he's still pretty. He has quick feet though.
Absolutely.
I don't want everybody thinking we got a 4.5. We got a 4.5 speed tight end. We don't. That was in high school. That was
okay. Okay, cool. Okay. So just to give you a little breakdown of what his strengths and weaknesses are. We'll start with the weaknesses. His weaknesses are his strength. He's not the biggest. Like he doesn't. As far as his blocking and things of that nature, that's what he doesn't flourish in the best. His arm length and his bench was one of the few scores that didn't that didn't sell as well. But as far as his strengths, definitely his ability to run after the catch. Like I said, he's a pretty fleet of foot tight end. So the short and intermediate routes are the ones that he does the best in, and I think that's one of the his roles that he had in college was just being able to check down routes and being able to create things after the catch. I was looking at his numbers, and his production his last 2 years was pretty good as far as his receptions, but he didn't score a lot of touchdowns. I want to say that was due to the fact that one of his other weaknesses is his catch radius, and that's basically his ability to like jump balls, and those are some of the ways that he needs to improve on. Is just being able to catch radius is there's like a imaginary circle, when that a receiver's arm goes up and what they're able to obtain. And that's one of the things that he struggled at. So I would not be surprised if in the red zone, the Lions lean on the Brock Wrights and the James Mitchells of the world, because it seems like Sam Laporta flourishes more in the open field and not so much in the close yardage situations, which is why he only had one touchdown despite having, I think he had like 50 plus catches his junior and senior year.
Well, but hold on. But the thing about that is Iowa's offense was a lot to be desired too. Like he was probably
absolutely.
the only, they focused on him because he was the one that they had to look out for. He was the primary target.
Yep.
And he might have led them in receptions.
Probably.
For the last 2 years, that offense, the Iowa offense, was not explosive by any means. Right. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so overall, he's a pretty well-rounded tight end. He doesn't have one particular attribute that jumps out at you. But the one thing that was impressive to me, his senior year, he tore his meniscus in the last game of the year, and came back for the bowl game. Of course, your last game to the bowl game is a month or so in separation. But just the simple fact that he was willing to, because he knew that he was going to go, early, first, second, he was going to go early on in the draft. But the fact that he was willing to put it all on the line and come back for a quote unquote meaningless bowl game, I think that showed, some serious heart and dedication to, put it on the line like that. So I definitely liked seeing something like that from him. And I'm really looking forward to him. I think he had a great camp he's had a great camp this far. He's showed out, and I think that he's probably going to be tight end 1, possibly 1A, 1B going into this year. So we will see. His second round, 34th pick, he was almost a first round pick. So
yeah,
high expectations for that.
Usually they don't draft tight ends in the first round unless you're a lion and of the old regime. But
Right.
anyway,
Hawkinson,
give it
first round, first pick.
Eric Ebron.
Oh
Yeah,
God, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Well, we got to give it up for Sam, man. Got to give that man the lion roar for that, man. So Foster, we've talked about the position groups in depth. It's time for you to rant, man. You got a Foster rant for us this week?
Hoo-wee. Well, I feel like the rants are going to be so much more potent and epic when once we've seen them. Obviously we got to hear about the inner squad, matchup between the Giants in practice, anyways, between the Giants and Lions. But upcoming we got an actual preseason game, so we'll really get an opportunity to see where we're at. But we got to put it all together. The hype is high. The hype is high. Even
and
more
that game
hype.
is Thursday, right?
Friday.
That game is Friday, and we will definitely recap the game.
Absolutely.
I know it's just preseason, but we're gonna talk about it.
We definitely
Next show, we're talking about the preseason game. It is what it is. We can't talk about training camp and depth charts the whole offseason. We're going to get right to it. We're going to dissect this game and see what we see. I think whether they're first string, second string, or third string, we need to know what they're doing. We need to know. We need to see fundamentals. We need to see something, and we're going to talk about it on this show. So
absolutely. So we got to put it all together, and because we're gonna be on, they're gonna be watching. They're gonna be watching to see what we bring to the table, and they're gonna run through it with a fine-tooth comb if something don't look right. So we got to be on point.
I'm not gonna be overly critical. I'm just gonna be observant, right? I've seen many a times where Lions have won majority of their preseason games and got into the season and it didn't look like they did in preseason. I've seen where they looked terrible in preseason. And so it's not a gauge of what's to happen, but it's going to be interesting to see. And we're going to talk about it.
And I'm going to be in the building as well. So I want to feel the energy. I want to feel that. I want to. This is game one of the preseason, and I want to feel with the energy. I want to feel the energy of this. Of the beginning of this season.
I feel some kind of way, man. You notice Foster is the only one that said he's going to be in the building, not us. He's going without me. Never mind, man. I'm ready to end the show, man. I'm disgusted.
Y'all might not see me next week now.
Hey, man, I've been looking for a replacement, man. I just nah, Foster, you good, bro. You good. I wish I'd have known you were going to the game. I'd have went. I surely would have went. It might not be too late. I still might be able to get tickets.
Nah, it's probably not too late. What's the day? It's Tuesday.
What time is it? 7:00? 8:00? Prime time?
The game, yeah. The game is like, 7, 8, something like that.
I'm getting off of here, man. I'm about to look for me a ticket, man. Shout out to the viewers. Tune in to us next week, Motor City Mess. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. You can check us out here every Tuesday at 8:00. When the season rolls around, we are going to do 2 shows. We're going to do a pre-game show, and we're going to do an a post-game show. So we'll be doing 2 shows a week. You got anything you want to say before we get out of here, Foss?
No, sir, man. Tune in this Friday for the first preseason game, and we'll catch up with y'all next Tuesday for the recap.
We also have audio, and I'll post the links for audio. You can look us up on Spotify. You can look us up on Apple iPod as well. The audio will premiere on Wednesday morning. I'm gonna set it up for like 6:00 in the morning. So it'll be there by the time you wake up. or start your day. If you work out, if you drive to work, if you're working, cleaning the house, and you don't have time to watch us here, you can listen to it, this exact same show, on through audio, through Apple Podcasts, through the Google Podcasts, through Spotify, and I'll post links. So I'll make sure you get that information. So with that being said, we'll see you next week.